Welcome back. Nights like tonight are brutal. And I'm just going to say straight out, um, it's funny. Last season during the regular season, I had days like this, nights like this. Not nearly as many as this year. You can really feel just how compressed everything is. For instance, the Vegas Golden Knights had 2 days off before tonight's game. They do not have 2 days off in a row for the rest of the season. And I'm pretty sure they're not the only team. There's a lot of games being played in a very short period of time. Whichever teams make the playoffs, nothing but mad respect there. All right, starting off with the Islanders and the Bruins, and this was well, I don't want to make an excuse. I don't want to say, well, the Bruins are coming out of their COVID pause, so they might have been a little bit off and they might have run out of gas. It does kind of look like that's what happened here, but I think that would be taking away from the Islanders, and the Islanders had a very good game. So Tuukka Rask made his return, wouldn't stay. Hurts himself in the first period. Looks like it was his right leg that he hurt. Yeah. Eberle stuck Barzell in the face. They tried to give a penalty to Grzelcyk on that play, but it turned out it was friendly fire. No shots early. It seemed like it was going to be an all-defense game. The Islanders doing some shot blocking. They then press 7 minutes in. They don't score, and then the Bruins go the other way. Carson Kuhlman from McAvoy and Bjork at 11:42. But again, it was a very defensive period to that stage. Shots were only 4 apiece with 5 minutes left. Bjork with a chance. Varlamov made a glove save, and then we get a power play for the Bruins. And the fans in attendance for the first time in over a year, they had something to cheer about. Steven Kampfer scores the power play marker from McAvoy and Krejci at 17:35. And then with 1:47 left, the Bruins go back to the power play. However, there was a shorthanded chance for Komarov, and Rask made the save. So we go to the second period, and yeah, so Halak is in now. The Bruins pressed at 2.5 minutes. They get a power play. It was a 4-minute power play. It is unsuccessful. And then Pajot scores from Mayfield and Komarov at 7:21. That was a 3-on-2 right after the penalty had been killed off. And there's your momentum swing. The Islanders in that second half, once they got that goal, they started looking a lot better. So we go to the third. Kuhlman was dinged on a Pulock shot, and then the Islanders would tie it. Josh Bailey, he gets a goal from Nelson and Leddy at 4:33. And it was a tie game. Things get kind of scrummy with around 8 minutes left in the game. Komarov gets knocked down. No shot on that one. Ritchie then had a chance to deflect it wide, but the Islanders would get the lead. Wahlstrom scores. He stays red hot from Pajot and Beauvillier. Beauvillier, who I was reading today on a power rankings, I think it's TSN's, where they had or it might have been Sportsnet's. They had who's the most likely to be traded or who might be trade bait. And they mentioned Beauvillier, and I thought, I don't think so. I don't think if the Islanders were going to trade a player, I don't think Beauvillier is the guy. Maybe he read the article because he had a pretty good game. So Wahlstrom gets the goal at 17:04, but less than a minute later, to their credit, Bjork gets the tying goal from Coyle and Wagner at 17:58. So you go to overtime. It's 21 seconds in. Yep. Beauvillier gets the game winner from Leddy and Pajot at 21 seconds. The Islanders win this one 4-3 in overtime. 22-8-4 now is the Islanders' record. The Bruins drop to 16-8-5. So for the Bruins, it's a lost point, and they may want to look over their shoulder a little bit, because I am starting to see that, yeah, there is a team that, well, if they play enough games against the Flyers, maybe they got a chance. 3 stars in this one: Beauvillier, Coyle, and Kampfer. I was surprised to see that there were 2 Bruins in the 3 stars. Shots in this one: 10-6 Boston in the first, 13-12 Boston in the second, 9-7 Boston in the third. In the overtime, the Islanders had both shots, including the one that matters. Final shots: 32-27 for the Bruins. Power plays, the Islanders only had 1. The Bruins had 4, and they scored once. The hits: 29-25 for the Islanders. Blocked shots: 13-9 for the Islanders. Varlamov saves 29 out of 32 in the victory. Rask saves all 6 in the first period. And then in the second and beyond, Halak saved 17 out of 21. We'll see how long Rask's going to be out. It didn't look good. Just put it that way, it didn't look good, unless you absolutely can't stand Rask, in which case it looked great. Don't understand that. Anyway, Rangers. What else is there to say other than Zibanejad may very well write a letter personally to Gary Bettman and say, can I please play Philadelphia all the time? Can I please get more Philadelphia games? Because I score a lot of points against Philadelphia, and I like it. So Patrick gets the game's first shot at 5:04, and I thought, well, it's a defensive game early. Myers then defended a chance from Strome, and again I thought, hey, Myers with a nice play there on Strome. Maybe Philadelphia is gonna New York pressed at 6.5 minutes, and after that pressure at 8:01, Strome scores from Fox and Panarin. They enjoyed that goal so much they doubled the lead. Buchnevich scores from Kreider and Zibanejad at 8:53. So Zibanejad's on the board. Watch him close. Smith and Aubé-Kubel then had a fight right after that, and it was Smith that started the fight. So it is a little bit odd to see a guy who's got his team up 2-0 that starts a fight, but he did. Power play then for the Rangers, and they score. It's Zibanejad from Fox and Strome at 12:36. That was the 6th shot by the New York Rangers. It was a nice tip in front by Zibanejad. When they got opportunities, they were pretty good, and Carter Hart really needs to start making some saves. I don't know what Philadelphia does now at the deadline. I've seen articles saying, well, they're going to have to make phone calls. Yeah, I'm not sure what phone call you're making. Are you selling, or are you seeing that you still have a chance at this? Because again, tonight's result really does make things very interesting in the East. So Shesterkin would deny Giroux. The Rangers had a power play in the last minute. And then at the start of the second period, they score. That's during the power play. And it's Zibanejad from Fox and Strome at 54 seconds. So Mika Zibanejad again on the power play. He's not too shabby. We get another Rangers power play. And who do they throw on the ice? Quick, without looking. You already looked. Zibanejad gets the power play marker again from Strome and Fox at 2:06. So that is three straight goals. That is a natural hat trick for Mika Zibanejad again. Have I said how streaky a scorer Zibanejad is? All right, that was the 11th shot of the game. So at that point, Carter Hart comes out, Elliott goes in, and that proves this is a defensive issue as much as it's a goaltending issue, or Elliott and Hart are both struggling. And I would say both of those things are accurate. Miller, he scores from Lemieux and Zibanejad at 2:42. So Keandre Miller welcomes Elliott to the game by scoring the 6th goal. 6th. 6 goals to make it 6-0 in favor of the New York Rangers. Now, that 6-goal lead doesn't last. You end up with Giroux. He scores from Hayes and Farabee at 3:46. But it's not going to matter. The Flyers get a power play later in the period. They score. It's Hayes getting a goal from Couturier and Gostisbehere at 13:34. So that makes it 6-2. But yeah, you're not going to win this. Third period, we get a shorthanded goal for Buchnevich from Fox and Zibanejad at 33 seconds. So for people counting along at home, that's 6 points for Zibanejad tonight. He loves playing Philadelphia. Couturier would score during that power play from Konechny and Gostisbehere at 1:28. So Gostisbehere gets a couple of assists tonight. So that's a positive for Philly. Rangers get a power play. They don't score on it. And then Lafreniere, he scores. So important. Lafreniere gets on the board. Hedl and Trouba with the assists at 18:02. The Rangers get a power play to close this out. They win 8-3. Both of these teams are now at 15, 13, and 4. One of these teams is on their way up, and the other one's the Flyers. So, yeah. The funny thing, too, is that when I was doing my predictions this year, I said this could finally be the year where Philadelphia has 2 good years in a row. For years now, if you look at their history, they make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, make the playoffs, miss the playoffs. Well, they made the playoffs last year, so this year they're supposed to miss the playoffs. The reason I took them to make the playoffs last year was because they'd missed the playoffs the year before. I should have taken them to miss the playoffs. All right. So Zibanejad's your first star. Fox and Strome are stars 2 and 3. The shots favored Philly the whole way. I don't know what to tell you. 8-7, 18-7, and 18-8. So lots of shots. 44-22 are the final shots in favor of the Flyers. What does Shesterkin have to do to get a star? Power plays, Rangers 3 for 5, Philadelphia 2 for 3. Penalty killing was optional tonight. Shesterkin saves 41 out of 44. Hart saved 6 out of 11, and then Hart saved 6 out of 11. Elliott saved 8 out of 11. The block shots were 18-8 for the Rangers. The hits were 27-22 for Philly. I don't know what happens next, but this just keeps getting uglier. Alain Vigneault's job may be on the hot seat. I don't know. All right, Washington. So the Devils are a better team on the road than they are at home. We know this. And I think tonight's result, while it doesn't go the way of the Devils, it again shows that they seem to be better on the road than at home. They did have a couple of leads in this game, but the Capitals playing pretty darn well. So Merkley scores at 1 minute and 23 seconds. Good to see him on the board. And then Orlov wipes out that lead not too long after. He gets a goal from Schultz and Sprong at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Caps get a power play. That was killed off. The Devils then get a power play. They got another one after that. And then it was McNugget final minute for a Caps goal. I guess you get McNuggets in Washington if the Caps get a goal in the final minute. I want McNuggets. Caps didn't get a goal in the final minute though, so I don't have any reason to try to go out locally. Hey, the Caps got a goal in the final minute. That would just baffle so many people. I might get free nuggets just out of confusion. Second period, shots are 2-0 for the Caps. Do not go, wherever you're in the world watching this, do not go and say, well, the hockey guy said I can get free nuggets. So, where are they? That's not going to work. You're not going to get free chicken nuggets. Shots are 2-0 for the Caps at 5 minutes in the second period. Sharangovich having a pretty good game again. And Sharangovich, it's more than just the goals or the points. He's very good at both ends of the ice. He's a very solid two-way player. Wood then scores from Kuokkanen and Severson at 6 minutes and 20 seconds. But every time New Jersey scored, there was a quick answer by the Capitals. Ovechkin scores from Sprong at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. So Ovechkin takes another step towards catching Marcel Dion. The Caps had been held to 9 shots in the first 31 minutes. And yet this game's tied at 2. So for the Devils, you have to be looking at this and saying, well, we're in this. And then Kuznetsov scores the goal to put Washington into the lead. From Ovechkin and Dillon at 11:47, that makes it 3-2 in favor of the Caps. We go to the third. Merkley with a near miss. Devils hit the post right after that. Devils then get a power play. They don't score on that. However, nope, that's the power play marker right there, isn't it? Sure is. Bratt with the power play goal from Smith and Zaka at 11:04. I didn't write PPG on there. My apologies. So yeah, Jesper Bratt gets his third of the year. He seems to be heating up good. But again, that let down after the goal, and this is something that New Jersey's going to have to work on. Kuznetsov scores from Schultz at 12:06 to restore the lead for the Capitals. The Capitals would then get a power play. Goaltender gets pulled with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Unsuccessful. New Jersey loses this one 4-3. Capitals 21-7-4. For New Jersey, 12-15-4, and they have to be looking at how Philadelphia's dropped way off, and they have to be feeling like this spot's kind of open. Boston, coming out of their pause, they lose in overtime, they lose a 2-goal lead. This looks wide open if New Jersey can heat up a bit, but the Rangers seem to be occupying that space right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how this division turns out. 3 stars: Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Sprong, which means chaos. See, KOS. Yeah. Shots 11-4 in the first in favor of New Jersey, 9-6 Washington in the second, 9-7 Washington in the third. Final shots 24-22 for the Devils. The Devils go 1 for 3 on the power play. Washington goes 0 for 2. Hits 26-9 for Washington. I'm guessing all 26 are Tom Wilson. Just throwing that out there. 24 Wilson and 2 of them are Ovechkin. Blocks 17-11 for Washington on that. Blackwood, 18 saves on 22 shots, and Vanacek, 21 saves on 24 shots for him, as the Capitals continue to roll, as do the Islanders, and it looks like those might be your 1 and 2, although once we get to Pittsburgh, they have something to say about it as well, because we'll get to that game. It's kind of sad, depending on your point of view on it, but I think everybody is kind of feeling that way now. So Carolina and Columbus. This was destined for overtime because it's Carolina and Columbus. It feels like all their games go to overtime. Columbus had an early chance. The shots were actually 4-3 in their favor at 6 minutes, and then Carolina just kind of takes over that period. Korpisalo stopped a Slavin point shot. They get a power play, so that helps the Canes right there getting the power play. Canes controlling it, Korpisalo saving it. Power play for Columbus. Then we get 40 seconds of 4-on-4 before the Canes go back to a power play as well. Columbus kills off that. In fact, Robinson had a nice break there, but it's scoreless after 1. Second period, early press by Columbus again. So they had the early chance in the first, early chance in the second. Then they get a 3-on-1, and they score. Werenski from Stenlund and Jones at 7:03. That lead doesn't last. Much like this game here, there's always an answer. So Paquette scores from Shea and Lawrence at 7:49. It was just, you gotta cover better there and just have a better bounce back shift after you've scored that first goal. Then NHS scores from Svechnikov and Bean at 17-16. So Carolina's ahead in this game, and Columbus chasing it a bit. Fogle then elbowed Foligno in the head. I don't think that Columbus was happy that it was 2. I think they wanted more than that. And it was either I'm pretty sure, it was the elbow. There was a stick incident in a different game. Werenski exits before that, though. So Foligno and Werenski both exited. They would come back in the third period. So good news for Columbus. They're not hurt. Because if you're a Blue Jackets fan watching this, you're probably thinking, oh, good, everybody's getting hurt. It's every year. They both returned in the third. There was an early press by Columbus again. That was due to the power play they had to finish off that period. The Canes would kill that off. Canes then go back to the box. Columbus on the power play again. There was a shorthanded break for Nechas, but Atkinson gets the power play marker from Laine and Jones at 3:20. So Jones with a couple of helpers. Laine on the board with an assist. Is he going to heat up? Is this where he starts? Because he's very streaky. He got a point, maybe, right? And that one bounced in off of Hamilton. Well, it takes a while for the answer to come, but Carolina does answer. Niederreiter scores again. He seems to have a lot of goals this year. From Slavin and Hamilton at 15:42. Columbus would press with 3 minutes left. They pull the goalie with 2 minutes left, and they score 6-on-5. Bjorkstrand from Atkinson and Jones at 19:44. And I was just getting ready to put up on the board that, this game was a 3-2 game and it was over. And then they score, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting more overtime because there were 3 games that were all going to be in overtime at the same time. And in overtime, Atkinson had a break, doesn't go in. And then Aho from Nechas at 1:26. So chance at one end, chance at the other. And in case of the Carolina one, it went in. Atkinson didn't end up hitting the net. So 3 stars in this one. Aho, Jones, and Nedeljkovic. So 2 out of 3 stars are from Carolina. And Seth Jones, who had a good game, gets the second star. Shots, 14-8 Carolina in the first, 14-9 Columbus in the second, 14-8 Columbus in the third. In the overtime, 2 shots, both by Carolina. Final shots, 36-33 for Columbus. Power plays 0 for 2 for Carolina, 1 for 3 for Columbus. Nedeljkovic saved 33 out of 36. Korpisalo saved 29 out of 23. Both goalies acquitted themselves well. And Columbus drops to 13-13-8. Carolina goes to 22-7-3. And it's starting to look like maybe it's Carolina versus Tampa for that second spot. Who's going to get it? And that maybe Florida might be dropping off a bit. That being said, let's go to the next board. All right. The one Canadian game tonight, right? Yeah. Toronto and Ottawa. So this is a really important game for Toronto, right? Ottawa's been kind of a blind spot this year, kind of like a team they might have taken lightly. There's that 5-1 game where they had the meltdown, and so we look at this matchup now, and it's an interesting one. And for Ottawa, they keep getting points. So for Ottawa, it's impressive how they keep getting points, but they kind of need to have 2, and they kind of need to win in regulation. Reverse retro Sens. I love that jersey. Just saying. Forsberg making his debut as a Senator, and Anton Forsberg looked very good. One of the best games I've seen him play in a long time. And they showed how he has bounced around over the last 12 months and how many times he's been on waivers and how many organizations he's been in and never played a game. So I'm glad he's finally in the net. Shots are 4-2 for the Leafs at 5 minutes, so they gave him a lot to do. The Leafs get a power play. Forsberg was the one keeping it scoreless at that stage. The Sens get a power play, which led to a shorthanded chance for Spezza. Another Leafs power play. We then end up with a 4-on-4 for 22 seconds. Chabot was not happy about that penalty. I don't know if he didn't feel it was a penalty or if he was mad at himself for taking it, but he snapped his stick when he got into the box. And then it works out. Connor Brown gets the 3rd shorthanded goal of his career, his first as an Ottawa Senator. Tierney with the assist at 18:53. And that led to more last-minute chances for the Sens. Once that power play was done, they had a lot of confidence. So we go to the second period. Campbell makes a pretty good stop on Bishop. The first half of this game was all about the goaltenders. Really was. The Leafs score, it was waved off initially. I think they thought that Mikheyev put it in with his glove, that he gloved it in. So they look at it on the replay. It's a good goal. So Mikheyev finally gets his 5th. He's been snake bit from Brody and Hyman at 14:40. So that ties it up. The Senators, they get a late power play. Both power plays were unsuccessful tonight. Campbell denied Tkachuk to make it stay that way. So we go to the third period. It's 1-1. The Leafs press around the halfway mark. Campbell stopped for Menton. Spezza would then score from Kerfoot at 10 minutes and 41 seconds. To their credit, the Ottawa Senators do not go away. They do not give up. Flor Menton scores his first goal since, I think they said it was October of 2018 in the NHL, from Bishop and Dzingel at 13-14, and that tied it up at 2. Matthews had a very good chance after that. It ends up being kicked wide, and we have overtime between Ottawa and Toronto yet again. Riley blocks a shot early on. Forsberg held a chance for the Leafs. Leafs really wanted this. They had a 2-on-1. Nylander shot wide there. Campbell then had a poke check on Nick Paul. And then just as it looked like we were going to end up going to a shootout in this game, Hall gets the goal from Marner and Matthews at 4:42. And it was a great play by Matthews. Basically, it's a 3-on-1 for the Sens. He defends it, and it's a 3-on-1 the other way. So if he hadn't defended that properly, Ottawa probably wins it in the closing seconds. Instead, they do. They get the 3-2 win in overtime. They go to 21-10-2. Ottawa drops to 12-20-4. So again, Ottawa's getting points. They're keeping teams honest. And your 3 stars in this one are Hall, Spezza, and Forsberg. Gratefully, the 3rd star in this one. Shots were 12-8 in favor of Toronto in the first. 17-16 Toronto in the second. So it was a goaltending clinic, those first 2 periods. Third period, 8-6 in favor of Toronto. 4-1 Toronto in the overtime. So they outshot them the whole way through. Final shots, 41-31 for the Leafs. Both teams went 0-for-3 on the power play. Hits, 29-15 in favor of Ottawa. Blocked shots also favor Ottawa, 17-9. Campbell saved 29 out of 31. Again, makes the argument he should be the starter, which is not even an argument since Anderson's hurt. Forsberg, 38 saves on 41 shots in the first game he's played in the NHL in quite a while. And kudos to him for being sharp tonight. Really. Be totally justifiable if he had a bad game and said, look, I haven't been on the ice in ages in an NHL game. But he did it. Next up. Yeah. And it really does feel kind of poor. And yet, they played well. Just Casey DeSmith decided to have one of his best games. And of course, the big note for tonight was that Don Granato and Matt Ellis are both in COVID protocols. So I don't know if it's a rule that if you're a Buffalo coach, you have to end up in protocols, as Ralph Kruger did earlier in the season. And so Kevin Adams was behind the bench, and he got to watch all of this splendor from behind the bench and realize just how much trouble this team's really in. Zahorna makes his debut. 6'6", 24 years of age. And yeah, not too shabby in his debut. Sabres had a power play, and it was a good first 15 minutes for the Sabres. And I'm glad I wrote that down, because that's about it. Because then Zahorna scores from Angelo at 17:21, and it's an impressive debut. It's also a game-winning goal. It was a nice goal, too. So we go to the second period. There's a power play for the Penguins, and they score on it. Jared McCann from Letang and Crosby at 1:27. The Sabres would get a power play. Of course, it's unsuccessful. Their power play has been ice cold for weeks now. Shots were 6-1 for the Pens with 9 minutes left, showing that power play didn't really get much going. There's a late power play for the Sabres as well, and it's not happening. So we go to the third. It's 2-0 Pittsburgh. They get another power play, and they score on it. It's McCann again on the power play from Letang and Crosby at 8:56. The Penguins would get another power play. That was unsuccessful. The Sabres, they get a turn on the power play. They pull the goaltender with 2.5 minutes left, and then the empty net goal is Gensel from Rust and Crosby at 18:54. So Sid the Kid, pretty decent game for him, and Jake Gensel gets a goal. So yeah, they tried pulling the goalie, because why not? And they lose 4-0. So Pittsburgh 21-11-2 now. They love playing Buffalo, and who wouldn't? Buffalo now 6-22-4. Their winning percentage is ridiculously low. It's low. 3 stars to Smith, Crosby, and McCann. Shots 15-12 Buffalo in the first, 9-5 in favor of Pittsburgh in the second, 16-10 Buffalo in the third. So they had shots. 36-21. Buffalo 0-for-4, Pittsburgh 2-for-4 on their power play. Hits 30-23 for Buffalo. Block shots were 15 each. Tokarski saves 27 out of 30. He's not getting any support. And DeSmith, 36 saves for his 6th career shutout. So, yeah, Buffalo's having a really rough go of it. And Darlene was -2 tonight, so he's now -32 on the season. They've played 32 games, so they've got to be happy it's a shortened season, though, right? That's got to make them somewhat happy. All right, Minnesota. You know what's funny? This game, I thought the Blues were just better, but it doesn't matter when the goaltender's this good. So Shen and Hartman had a fight at 1 second. That's quick. Pucks dropped and then fight time. And so they have the square off right away. And yeah, shortly after that, there's a power play for the Wild, but their power play sucks. So it doesn't succeed. The Blues get a power play. Their power play tonight wasn't very good either. We get another Wild power play. And there were no shots in the 2 Wild power plays. None. They took that approach tonight of let's not get shots and win the game. And somehow it worked. So 11 wins in a row at home. I don't know how this one happens. Shots were 8-2 for the Blues with 4 minutes left in the first period. There's a late power play then for the Blues. It's unsuccessful. We go to the second period. No shots for the Wild in the first 5 minutes. In fact, they went over 13 minutes between shots at that stage. I'm not sure what the actual total was, but at that point it was over 13 minutes. And then Johansson, on the third shot of the game, the first shot of the period at 5:46, he gets a goal from Fiala and Brodin. That's all it takes. We'll take the goal on our shot. We'll just do that. Okay. And yeah, power play then for the Blues. It's unsuccessful. And then Magician Kaprizov, he gets a goal from Zuccarello at 15:21. It's 2-0 Minnesota after 2 periods, even though they've been outshot 24-8 through 2 periods. So for St. Louis, there has to be kind of a feeling of what's going on here. Third period, Blues press at 3 minutes, but Talbot absolutely stealing this one. Minnesota was all defense in the third, keep them to the outside. If they want to be in our zone, great. We're not giving them anything in the middle. Johansson then had a chance to win high. The Wild had a 3-on-1 that Falk defended, or else it would have been 3-0. The Blues had a 3-on-2, and the Wild just blocked it straight out. Goaltender gets pulled with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. And yeah, the Wild still. Bend, don't break defense. It works for them. They win this one 2-0. They go to 21-10-1. For St. Louis, they dropped to 16-12-5. They have to be concerned now. This is definitely a trend downwards for St. Louis over the last few weeks. And so for teams behind them, like Arizona, LA, San Jose, they have to look at what's going on with St. Louis and say, hey, that spot is there. That's there for us if we want to go and get it. And for Anaheim, they're a team that plays out of Anaheim. 3 stars, Talbot, Fiala, and Johansson. Shots were 10-2 in the first in favor of St. Louis, 14-6 in the second, and 13-3 in the third. 3. Final shots, 37-11 for the St. Louis Blues. They did everything except win the game. Power plays, both teams go for 3. Remember, this is the first of 8 meetings between these teams as well. Block shots, 16-8 Minnesota, and the hits were 12-8 Minnesota. So not a heavy hitting game at all. Bennington, 9 saves on 11 shots. Talbot saves all 37 for his 24th career shutout, which feels high for Talbot, but 24 shutouts. There you go. All right, moving along. Florida. Florida now seems to be dropping out of the running for that top spot. And again, we see DeSmith here stealing a game from the hapless Buffalo Sabres. You've got Talbot absolutely stealing a game against St. Louis. And then here you got Lankinen showing that any talk of maybe we need to bring up Delia. Don't need to bring up Delia. So I don't know if this is a case of Lankinen fixing a flaw in his game from previous games or what it is, but this is impressive. This is Florida. This is a team that's run up the score a lot this year, and Chicago and Lankinen just didn't let it happen tonight. The shots were 4-2 for the Hawks 6 minutes in. The Panthers would get a power play. Their power play, of course, was unsuccessful tonight. Lankinen, really solid. Zadorov then with a low bridge hit. Panthers get a power play. And yeah, I don't know how intentional it was, but that's one of those things where when you see that low bridge hit, You just kind of wince because you know the guy flying through the air, it could be bad news. The Panthers got a penalty at the horn. So it was a delayed penalty. The Hawks are kind of ragging it around, almost threw it into their own net as well, but the horn saves them, and also the fact that it went in the corner saved them. So we go to the second period. Hawks scored, and it looked kind of like goalie interference, and I say kind of. So Kane gets the power play marker from Soderberg at 105. They don't challenge. The reason Florida doesn't challenge is because players are absolutely colliding with their goaltender, but they're also being pushed in there by their own guys, and it looked like maybe Uyghur's stick had kind of knocked it into the net as well. So they say, we're not going to challenge. Yeah, understandable. Panthers then tried to answer, but it doesn't work. In fact, Suter makes it 2-0 from DeBrincat and Kane at 3 minutes and 34 seconds. The Hawks are up. And then they get a power play. It's unsuccessful. There were chances both ways around the halfway mark of that period. Power play for the Panthers, and the posts were definitely on Lankinen's side as well. Lankinen should hug those posts. Power play then for the Hawks. We go to the third period. It's still 2-0. Early chances for the Panthers. They end up getting a power play out of that. The Hawks do manage to kill it off. The shots were 8-2 in favor of Florida with 9 minutes left. So much like here, lots of opportunities, nothing going in the net. Hawks 2-on-1. Kane was denied. Duclair then had a near miss. The Panthers pressed after that. They pull the goaltender in the final 3 minutes, and then it's an empty net goal. It's Hagel. He scores at 18:36, makes it 3-0. And then DeBrincat decides I might as well take a shot at it now the goalie's back in. He's denied with a minute left. Then there's a power play for the Panthers, but it's not going to be successful. And so they lose 3-0. Chicago goes to 16-13-5. Florida drops to 29-4. So all of a sudden, Chicago's won a couple of games in a row. And they looked good tonight. They beat Florida. These are the games Chicago needs to win in order to secure fourth spot. And they've won their last 2 against Florida. 3 stars, Lankinen, Kane, and Suter. Shots, 13-7 Florida in the first, 17-9 in the second in favor of Florida, 11-5 Florida in the third. Final shots, 41-21 for the Florida Panthers. Power plays, 0-for-6 for Florida, 0-for-6. 1-for-3 for Chicago. Hits, 36-32 for Florida, so physical game. Block shots, 22-9 for Chicago. Bobrovsky, 18 saves on 20 shots for him. Lankinen saves all 41 shots for his second career shutout. And just like that, he'll start being mentioned again for Calder, because that's a remarkable performance on his behalf, and back-to-back wins for Chicago will do that. All right, now to the final board. Oh, Detroit. So the Predators need these wins. They need to beat Detroit. They're not letting these games have any doubt in them anymore. Rocco Grimaldi decided, all right, guys, I'll do this. This is my job tonight. I'll take it. And Nashville is back in this. So while Chicago looks like they've got the inside track on fourth place, do not rule out the Nashville Predators. Just don't. So the shots were 3-1 at 5 minutes for the Predators. And Grimaldi scores at 5:34 from Haula. Predators get a power play. They score on it. Tolvanen from Yossi at 7:23. And then 16 seconds later, Rocco Grimaldi scores again. Grice, at that point, his night's over. 4 saves on 7 shots. He's done. And in goes Pickard. Well, Calvin Pickard, his overall numbers in the NHL have been poor for years now. And they're not helped by the fact that, 29 seconds later? Yeah, it's Grimaldi getting the hat trick from Haula. So in a period of like 2.5 minutes, Grimaldi has a hat trick. Rocco Grimaldi has a hat trick. It's the first of his career, and it is the fastest hat trick in Nashville Predators history. So there you go, Rocco Grimaldi. One of my favorite players because he's a smaller player. I like those guys. And Wings had 1 shot. 1 to that stage of the game, and it's 4-0. There was a late power play for Detroit. They do score on it. Ryan scored from Juice and Fabry at 19:05. But then the Predators scored again, and then Detroit challenges, and that comes back. So 4-1 is the score after 1. Not that challenge goal ends up mattering in the end. Granlund scores from Yossi at 12 minutes and 19 seconds. So that made it 5-1. The last minute of the second period, the Wings had a power play, so that's the thing that happened. Third period, Olivier scores from Harper at 4:29. The Predators then get a power play. They don't score on it. They get another. They were just trying to kill off the rest of the game. But Grimaldi thinks, I could get number 4. So he just takes it. He just takes the puck. He goes in. And at 17:29, he scores his 4th goal, which equaled him with Eric Nystrom for the team record for goals in a game. So Eric Nystrom. So there you go. 7-1 is your final. Nashville goes to 16-17-1, and Detroit, with this drubbing, drops to 10-20-4. 3 stars: Grimaldi, of course, Haula, and Tolvanen. So no wings there. Shots: 13-11 Nashville in the first, 8-5 Nashville in the second, 9-5 Nashville in the third. Final shots: 30-21 for the Nashville Predators. Both teams went 1 for 4 on the power play. Hits were 10 apiece. Block shots was 10-9 for Detroit. Grice saves 4 out of 7, as I said. Pickard saves 19 out of 23. And Saros saves 20 out of 21. Quietly putting together a very solid run since his return from injury. And so, yes, Nashville wins a game they need to win. And they're 1 game away from the 500 mark for points. And it feels like they're on that roll they need to be on. And they're beating the team they need to in Detroit. And we'll see whether or not they can maintain that momentum after this. All right, next up, Dallas. Dallas surprised me tonight. They did. I really didn't think this was coming. And the weird part is they outplayed Tampa through most of the game. And yet I was still going, yeah, but the final score is not going to go their way. Because that's just kind of how this works. I've watched Dallas outplay teams so much and then lose the games. It's been frustrating. But it's how their lot is this year. The shots were 1 apiece at 4.5 minutes. A Johnson to Joseph kind of home run pass almost connects. The Bolts D was standing up the Stars at the blue line, so they weren't giving them really good chances, and they were making sure they stayed out. Vasilevsky was sharp when he was called upon, and he was called upon a lot in that second half. Dallas had some good opportunities, and Vasilevsky was very good. There was a near miss then for Yanni Gourde. Stars were getting more shots, but no goals. And again, Vasilevsky, his career numbers against Dallas are pretty darn good. Second period, they score early. Yanni Gourde stays red hot from Foot and Palat at 2:46. And then Killorn, he makes it 2-0 from Sergachev and Cirelli at 5:58. So, it's 2-0 Tampa. And again, as a Dallas fan that's watched all year, I get this. Dallas outshoots a team really badly, outchances them, and then 2 goals go in their net. Sounds about right. Stars then got a power play. That was killed off. They did have some chances after the kill. And then on a beautiful goal, Heiskanen, breakaway, Como with the assist at 10:54. Suddenly it's 2-1. Gurianov then almost tied it on the next shift and showed how snakebit he is. Ottinger then robbed Palat. Like, that was maybe save of the year material. That it went past his pad and then he got it with the stick behind the pad, or else that's in the net. So I absolutely robbed him there. Vasilevsky was robbing the Stars at the other end. Not as fantastic of saves as the one on Palat, but still pretty good. And little did we know how important that save on Palat was. Would have been 3-1. There's a late Stars power play, and they score on it. Pavelski from Hintz and Klingberg at 18:40. If tonight's a sign that he's heating up again, that's great news for Dallas, because he was a huge part of the reason they had a really good start. Robertson then scored from Pavelski and Hintz at 19:44. It was a beautiful goal for Robertson. This line of Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson, it's pretty good. This is the kind of line that the Stars have needed this year. Keep it together for a while. So third period, the shots were only 1-0 for Tampa at 5.5 minutes, which surprised me because I wasn't expecting a period of so few shots early, especially when there were 35 shots in the second. Ruda had a shot that hits the outside of the net. Foxa then had a chance on a turnover. I think it was Hedman that blew a wheel behind the net. Blew a tire behind the net. A wheel doesn't make sense. Bolts were trying for a home run pass. They were definitely trying for that home run pass. Doesn't work. There was then too many men on the ice for Tampa. Stars go to the power play. Both teams doing some good shot blocking after that power play ended. Ottinger then held on to a Hedman shot, and it draws a whistle. So a face-off in Dallas's end, and it felt like a power play because Palat scores from Gordon Hedman at 15:10 not long after that save. So that made it 3-3, and I was like, well, I guess we're probably going to overtime because Dallas likes to go to overtime and not necessarily win, but they get a lot of those points. Vasilevsky then denied Hintz, but not for long. Hintz scores from Robertson and Pavelski. Yep, at 18:39. So Robertson with a goal and an assist. Hintz had 3 points on the night. Pavelski had 3 points on the night. Not too shabby. And that was a breakaway goal for Hintz. That's 2 breakaway goals in the game. No chance for Vasilevsky. Dallas holds on. They win it. 4-3. They go to 11, 11, and 8. It's still not a great record, but it's an 11th win. For Tampa, they drop to 24, 7, and 2, and they have to look over their shoulder and say, oh, Carolina's right here. 3 stars, Hintz, Pavelski, and Robertson, who had great games all over. Shots, 11-4 Dallas in the first, 21-14 Dallas in the second, 9-8 Dallas in the third. Final shots, 41-26 for Dallas. Tampa Bay didn't have a power play. Dallas very careful not to take a penalty all night, and rightfully so. And Dallas went 1 for 3 on their power play. The hits were 23 each. Block shots 13-12 for Tampa. Vasilevsky saves 37 out of 41. Ottinger saves 23 out of 26. So again, Ottinger, they win games with him in net. I don't know what it is. And he was pretty good. That save on Palat, that's going to be on highlight reels for a while. So yeah, and Vasilevsky played well. He did. But somehow Dallas ends up coming up with the victory. So there you go. Last up, the Quebec Nordiques ride again. And, when Colorado wears those jerseys, I'm like, come on, guys, get the win. I want to make sure that we get more Quebec jerseys in the years coming. And we may see that. So keep in mind, when this game started, it was the 11th game that was on at the exact same time. So not a lot of attention to be paid there when there's so many other games going on and so much finishing and so much overtime. The Avs, of course, wearing the reverse retro, these things. But 40 seconds in, Vegas scores. It's Pacioretty from Stone and Martinez. And all I can think is that's the first shot. Is this going to be one of those games where Vegas, it looks like it's going to be a big game and Vegas just going to blow them out early? Both teams exchanged power plays during that first period. The Avs did emerge with more shots. They did play a better period. But this is where you're asking yourself too, okay, so is Fleury going to steal one? Second period, power play for the Avs, and it scores. Donskoy stays red hot. From Girard and Taves at 4:04. That was with only 4 seconds left in the power play. Still counts. Shots were 5-1 for the Avs at 6.5 minutes. Then there were too many men on the ice for Vegas. Power play for the Avs. And Compher scores after that's done at 9:15. So that wasn't even on the power play. They only had the one power play marker tonight. The Avs go back to the power play. And the Vegas Golden Knights were stuck on one shot. They would eventually get some more shots before the end of the period. But they were stuck on one shot for a long time in that period. Makar would score from O'Connor and Landeskog at 12:37, so Landeskog stays red hot. And then Landeskog scores from Rantanen and Makar at 15:41. It's 4-1 in favor of Colorado. This is the second period. They're very good in it. Vegas is normally okay in the second period, not as great. The third period's their period. This is where Vegas normally would have that comeback, but Colorado's not having it. So with 1:29 left, Vegas gets their second shot. It was a relatively easy one for Grubauer, and then they get a few more in the last minute. But we go to the third period. The Avs 15-0-1 when leading after 2. It's about to be 16. Early chance for Vegas. Doesn't matter, not going in. And then Belmar scores from Compher at 3:54. And this is the first time that Vegas has been taken out like this in 2021. This is the worst defeat they've suffered. Dogpile at the Avs net with 9 minutes left. Fleury, this was the first time he'd allowed 5 goals in a game in over a year. They said, I think it was a shootout loss against Carolina. Last February was the last time that happened. So, yeah, I mean, the Avs got to him early and often in the second period there. Post then for Waugh, and then he scores on the rebound. So Nick Waugh, it finishes, I think they said it was 19 games since his last goal. Well, now it's more than that because they challenged it for offsides, and it was offsides. So I think it was Reeves that was offside. So it's still 5-1. And there you go, challenging it. The Avs were content to kill this off, though. The once that 5th goal went in, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for Colorado. Byram did have a chance that almost fooled Fleury late, though, and that would have been Byram's first NHL goal. Doesn't go through. And yeah, most lopsided loss for Vegas. They lose 5-1. Colorado goes to 21-8-3. Vegas drops to 22-8-1. So it's not much of a drop, but so here we go. We got 45 points here, 45 points here. Colorado's played one more game than Vegas. These teams meet again on Saturday. And yes, for people wondering, yes, on the power rankings tonight, Colorado is ahead of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They are. So shots, 9-5 Colorado in the first, 16-5 Colorado in the second, 8-7 in the third in favor of Vegas. Final shots, 32-18 for Colorado. Power plays 0 for 1 for Vegas. They only had the one. Colorado 1 for 4. Hits, 22-16 Vegas. Block shots, 20-12 for Colorado. Marc-Andre Fleury, 27 saves on 32 shots. Grubauer, 17 saves on 18 shots. And yeah, the 3 stars weren't available when I started up this video, so I'll give you guys my 3 stars. I would go with Landeskog as the first star, Makar as the second star, and I give Grubauer the 3rd star because, yeah, he was very good. His numbers have stayed excellent, and 17 saves on 18 shots is a fantastic save percentage. So everything's still going very well for Colorado. Again, it's one of those situations where you go, are they peaking too early? Like for Vegas, this is a really rough loss. Did they peak earlier? And now are we going to go through a bit of an issue for Vegas where they're having a harder time? And yeah, with only less than 2 months left until the end of the season and not a lot of days off. Like I said, Vegas had 2 days off before this. They don't get 2 days off again. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we're seeing a trend or if it's just a one-off. We'll find out on Saturday. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.